In this section, we're going to see how to solve equations by factoring. When we solve them by factoring, we have application for what is called the zero factor property. And the zero factor property says if two things multiply and make zero, then one of them better be zero. Let's see how that works in its simplest form. We have 5x equals 0. Well, that's 5 times x equals 0. So we have two things multiplied together. It says one of them must be 0. That's what the zero factor property promises. Well, 5 isn't 0, but that means that x is 0. Or we have 5 times x minus 3 equals 0. Now we have two things multiplied together to make 0. One of them's 5. That's not 0. But that means that x minus 3 must be 0. And we can solve that equation into x equals 3. Well, we also might have 5x times x minus 3 equals 0. Now we have two factors, and we know that either 5x equals 0 or x minus 3 equals 0. And we've seen both of those factors before. We know that this means that x equals 0, and we know that this means x could be 3. Now let's go one step further. If we have two factors, x minus 3 and x plus 2 equals 0, then we know that either x minus 3 equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0. This tells us that x is 3 or x is negative 2. We could even combine this one more time and see that if we had 5x times x minus 3 times x plus 2 all factored out, we would see that this factor would allow us to say x equals 0. This factor we've seen before. We know that that means that x equals 3. And this means x equals negative 2. So the zero factor property helped us decide what the solutions to this factored form equation turned out to be.